Hey everyone, welcome to the beginning of the end. I know it sounds really dark when I say that. Atlanta Rain versus the Shanghai Dragons are in the lower bracket. Two red teams, but one of them will see red after this one. I'm Lemon Kiwi, this is leg day. And man, it's been a long journey to this point. So many game fives, and it's come down to this. There's only 3 8-pack teams left, and they're all in the lower bracket.
Yeah, lower bracket slash APAC bracket plus Atlanta. You know, it's not been a fantastic tournament thus far for Shanghai Dragons. They started off strong, Lemon, beating out one of the best teams coming from North America, Dallas Fuel, 3-0. Wasn't a great end for the Dallas Fuel, but now Shanghai Dragons, the final godfather of Overwatch 1, have been cast from Mount Olympus into Tartarus, and now they're having to make this brimstone-soaked pathway back up towards potentially the finals, but it's going to be a long way to get there. And also, they're not looking fantastic. Atlanta Rain stand in their way, and well, Videska had plenty to say about Atlanta Rain, and so did I. So let's take a look at these starters, because Lemon, you and I last year, we were casting a lot of North American contenders, and we had ourselves an import. We had ourselves a little bit of the Picante, which was brought over in the form of Venom. We called him the Tracer Supreme, and it seems like in this particular tournament, he's been living up to that reputation. Venom, you saw the graphic earlier against Fleta, is doing so much damage. Not playing as much of a supportive DPS as you might expect when Kai needs all these resources to stay healthy and stay spacious in these hit scans. Venom is still punching out so much damage to allow Kai to get those finishes.
And it just feels like we're proud parents right now for Venom, because I feel like we were there, by the way, like we were fans since day one, when this guy's career truly blossomed and Contenders Korea was like smurfing in Contenders on Tracer alone. And he was touted as this one trick, and people were just like, oh yeah, he's good enough to be an owl, but what else? And it doesn't matter, because you can sign a Tracer now and be confident. And Venom, well, he's delivered, and more than enough in this tournament setting. But someone who's really had some great development is Hawk, who was previously an off-tank and is now a jack of all trades. You looked at Atlanta Rain and you're like, yep, this is a Doomfist identity team, but Hawk is now on the Winston and the Sigma, and because he's showing that flexibility to so many different tanks, their weaker maps like King's Row are looking immensely better now that they can operate on a Sigma on attack and waste less time on the Doomfist. So there's a lot to expect now from the Atlanta Rain than just the one identity.
Man's a bona fide joke, but here are Shanghai cast from the top down into the lower bracket. It's well, it's the same team as last year, Lemon, -1 additional place that allowed for 6 versus 6. It wasn't a huge amount of changes the Shanghai Dragons have went through. Yes, they picked up Bebe, who has stayed around, but the roster was thinned. It was crystallized into a more streamlined form. Alas, yesterday, only one member of Shanghai actually logged in, and that was Lip. Everyone else stayed in the dugout, basically uninstalled Overwatch. It was not filling me with confidence. Yes, Lip does pop off, but Fleta's damage numbers leave a little bit to be desired across the entire tournament so far, and Fate was pretty heavily countered.
I know, like, Reinforce was having some doubts on Fate's performance in the previous matches, but the one thing you can always depend on is Kai and Lib. This Sojourn battle is going to be legendary. I just can't wait to get into this match. And then around them have been DPS that have had question marks in terms of consistency, where Venom and just the entirety of Atlanta Rain, I feel like they perform so much better in these high stakes. They are the ones that perform well under pressure, and Venom has stepped up to that plate. Now, Fleta had some issues yesterday keeping other Tracers in the league in check, mainly when they went up against the San Francisco Shock, and there was no touching proper from that team. But Fleta, he can at least operate on the Echo, and he really likes copying tanks, and it just makes Shanghai Dragons frontline feeling like indestructible. But one map now will be chosen by the Shanghai Dragons, an advantage they can work with, and they decide to go to Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, it makes sense they wouldn't return to Oasis after the embarrassment suffered yesterday. Shanghai Dragons, they might go up against a little bit of an NA special here. We've seen a touch of Moira Lucio all across Shanghai, all across Lijiang Tower, and there it is, Ultraviolet picking up the old Irish peak biologist, and Atlanta Rain here. when it comes to the pace, will they be able to shell shock the Shanghai Dragons, or will Shanghai Dragons be able to effectively kite these dives until they can find themselves an early pick? Remember here that Kai might have a touch more trouble building up that rail charge to really deliver the burst damage, but when we look at our Tracer matchup, Venom is putting out a lot more damage on average compared to Fletter.
Is this the Hawk Ball? The myth? The legend? I was expecting the Doomfist on Night Market, where it's just one of the best rounds even for Doomfist. And you can already tell by the Lucio Moira how Atlanta Reign are going to play this all together as they can. But Hawk, and you know Atlanta Reign, they love that confidence. If they can beat you at your own game, they'll do it. Atlanta Reign already have control of the middle of the map. Shanghai Dragons going through the sides of the map, but Lib already strikes first, diffing Kai. A 5 versus 4 point unlock. Sea Dragons have already made their way there. Atlanta Reign not going to go down without a fight, but Hawk got CC'd, or just his rollout got interrupted and couldn't leave fast enough. And now this is a almost flawless fight for Dragons with the cap first.
Oh, so hard to play those off angles, Lemon. When you're playing with a Moira Lucio, the healing ranges are inherently limited because of the range of Moira's Bardic Grasp, and of course Lucio can only heal via his aura, so Kai couldn't get any long-range healing that you get from an Ana, or from a Repair Pack, or from a Harmony Orb. And I'm actually surprised here that Hawk has gone for a Wrecking Ball, considering that he's not as good a frontline combatant as someone like a Winston, who can stay around a lot longer with a Moira at their back.
At least for now, you see the Dragons, they kind of left the objective, and that's what's really cool about Night Market and the way APAC approaches it, is they'll cap the objective and then play around it, draw the enemy to the objective, and then surround them and pummel them from there. And Dragons have been getting a lot of first bloods, and it doesn't even end there. Now, the second fight won, they'll get to work on some ultimates soon.
Yeah, the real weakness here of the Moira Lucio is going to be that if you expend the speed boost too soon, you will be picked apart from all sides by the Shanghai Dragons. There is still a pulse bomb in hand. Good pathing here from Hawk. Gets on top of Izayaki. That's a finish from OG.
Yeah, Hawk back on his brand name, and you see how much it works. Atlanta Reign now with that quick pick on Izayaki. Lijiang on his one. They know Atlanta's chance is to go to the point, but like I said, Dragons, they don't like to play on the point. They play around it, and then Fate had mines. Buys that real estate right back from the Shanghai Dragons as Atlanta Reign scatter. Lib and Fleta get to pick them off on flanks. So this is textbook play of Night Market by Shanghai Dragons, and flawless so far.
Thing is, though, the raw damage that Atlanta Reign have for taking down people like Fate trying to contest a point is incredibly low. Without things like the Discord Orb, the tanks can stay around for so long, and even longer now, Solomon, because Shanghai Dragons have both of their support ultimates, and OG is still 15% shy and will stay there from his sound barrier.
Oh, this is last fight too. Reign, they can't afford this. Coalescence starts, and Kai kind of loses LOS on that, and Hawk is separated from the flock, and Shanghai Dragons keep picking them off. Lip is already dominating this lobby, and I was hyping things up, but this is not the way I thought it was going to be. 100-0 in round one. APAC ain't playing around.
Oh, yes. The journey back to the top of Mount Olympus starts with a single step, and that step was taken on control. Shanghai Dragons, they might have only suffered a single death there. I only remember Izayaki dying, but in the midst of those point battles, we might have lost someone else as well. Now Shanghai Dragons, yet again, another look. More of a London Spitfire kind of style here. A little bit of a rush. Here's a replay of Lip hopping off, and that is getting rid of OG and making sure there was going to be no sound barrier for the entirety of that stage.
That's pain. You know what's not enough pain? Dragons having a total of 3 deaths as a team that last round. 100-0. I wasn't kidding when I said this was almost perfection out of the Dragons. And now you got some rush. Fate swings away at the front line. You got the Maywolf from Fleta to separate an Atlanta Reign member at the back. And this is already a one-man advantage for the Dragons. Point unlocks in a few seconds. Ultraviolet is off on his own, has been forced to use Fade, and Dragons want to coalesce on that, and they capitalize, and that won't be a fight for Reign for now, especially not with those heals. So Dragons will cap first.
So the dynamic here between the Sojourns is going to be super interesting. Kai's going to have a much easier time charging the railgun because they can charge it off both the the wall of the Mei and the shield of the Reinhardt, but at the same time, when you have the when you don't have the overclock up, there's no piercing factor to that projectile, so Fate can actually keep his team safe if Kai is on a main angle rather than going on an off angle. And Kai, if he goes on an off angle, has to be super careful about being rushed down. Venom swaps over now to the Genji to try and get a little bit more negotiation around Fate's shield and have an omnidirectional attack on that monodirectional defensive measure.
I like the Ana too from UV. You need the Nano for Hawk, and especially on Moira, you use it for the survivability, and Ana just provides way more utility. And there's a sleep from UV, the man himself. Lijiang's okay though, good Mei wall from Fleta to protect things. Venom gets booped off, will be able to climb right back, or maybe not, I guess he doesn't. But it's still a 4-on-4, Iyaki's down on a ton of heals from the Dragons. But Rain don't want to take this fight, and will Atlanta Rain win a fight? I guess we'll find out next episode.
It's been a while since you've heard it, ladies and gentlemen, but welcome to Lijiang Tower. 2 environmental kills, edge guarding Venom. I don't even know if we're in the right game anymore. Shanghai Dragons remain in control, and Venom drags attention back over to a point, beginning to cap it as Lip falls down.
Atlanta Rain keep trying to go for these re-engages. It wasn't successful at first, but the sound barrier starts from the Dragons. It's a 3-on-4. Lijiang only hits 2 other of his teammates, and it's just not working out. And at least it has them extending the lead that they have almost to 75%. Lijiang gonna die on that objective. And yes, it is true, Atlanta Rain can win a fight.
Every match win starts with a single one. Fight Lemon and Atlanta Rain have their work cut out for them if they wish to win on Shanghai Dragons' first map pick here. An overclock stands ready and at attention for Lip, while Fleta, with the Blizzard, is mostly going to be looking to either control the point here or maybe as a defensive measure against Venom's Blade, because a lot of people will be able to flee from this Blizzard.
Overclock starts, but Rain are just gonna play hide and go seek. Hawk bumps into Fate. Maywall comes behind. Here's the solo shatter just to stop Hawk and whatever he's up to with this Nano, because OG has booped 2 people off from the Dragons who are crossing on bridge side or playing around the point. I have no idea how that happened, but OG just solo won Rain a fight.
All by himself. Fleta actually swaps over to the Tracer now, gives up the Blizzard, and I think that might be a slight mistake here. I mean, admittedly, Shanghai Dragons have decided to make an affirmative decision to swap their entire comp, but that would have been a really good defensive measure against the Venom Blade. But frankly, Shanghai Dragons now don't have anything for, apart from Fate hitting a big punch. This is what the desk wanted. Fate moving away from a Wrecking Ball onto these other tanks, and yes, Reinhardt was one, but the other was Doomfist.
OG will have to be careful with this beat. I guess he was nowhere close from the punch, and Fate gets overwhelmed, punches in, and the barrier comes after. And a 1v5, not even Fate can do that. But how long do the Dragons want to stay around? They really just can't afford to stagger out anymore. This has been a 0-77+ comeback from the Rain, and now they have to lead.
OG with an interesting use of a sound barrier there, just managing to swarm over Fate after he used both of his cooldowns and got antied. Fleta on the back line, going to put some pressure onto Ultraviolet to try and distract people as Fate moves in onto the point to at least trigger overtime in a couple seconds.
Last fight starts. Venom, can he win it on his terms? Iyaki and Lip are already down a 5-on-3, no damage and no heals, it feels like. And Dragons just don't have enough gas in the tank. They might have killed UV, but Venom finished things off. A cleanup and a massive 0-100 comeback from the Atlanta Rain. That's legendary stuff as we go to round 3, Control Center.
A little bit of a flounder with a full comp swap on Control, and we rarely see those after like the first couple of fights. Alas, Shanghai Dragons thought they had a better chance going over to the Doomfist, but Fate's engagements, they simply were not reinforced. Fate was often engaging alone. Fleta's timings were a little bit off, and it meant that Atlanta Rain could just turn around at different junctures and find themselves 1 versus 3. So there's the first of the environmental kills. Yeah, we may be on Lijiang Tower, but OG loves himself a little bit of environmental kill too. And we also saw OG grow up in North American contenders. Alongside Venom, they were oftentimes in the grand finals facing each other. But together with their powers combined, North American contenders is here with a vengeance.
Lucio Moira, a lot of speed behind these Doomfist comps, enabling these rotations, both in and out, and now Dragons have control of the server side, immediately give it up. Now it's the Doomfist battle. Orbs thrown left and right. Hawk, way more healthy than Fate. Waiting for these anti-utilities from Izayaki. He gets one onto Hawk, but there was so much CC that came out of Hawk to stun up 3 members of the Dragons, and they all collapsed. Still, the numbers, you're not too confident if you are the Rain, but now that you just utilize the speed, overwhelm the Dragons when they hesitate at the last second, the Rain will get the point with 3 members left.
Yeah, the second the Shanghai Dragons hesitate, they are going to be ran over by this Moira composition. It's all about the speed of being able to engage with that much AoE healing, and potentially the damage orb as well, to just get that kind of guaranteed damage where it doesn't really have to be aimed as much. You can see Venom already excelling on the Tracer, 81% of the way towards the Pulse Bomb.
Now, you'll have a flame from Fleta. He's close to Pulse. Even just getting on the objective and drawing Atlanta Rain away from server can help things out. It'll be 4-on-4 on servers. Here's the punch from Fate. Gets Venom. No immediate follow-up yet. Sleep on a Venom finished off by Fleta. 1-man advantage for the Dragons coming up to Nano. Meteor Strike more. The trigger's being pulled. A Pulse and a perfect patience to hit Hawk as he landed from Meteor Strike. And now Fate is nanoed. And he's going to just bulldoze this front line. And Ultraviolet won't give this up, or he will give this up with just a little whimper. So Dragons will get the point back.
Oh, that was a perfect round from Izayaki, hitting the sleep onto Venom, who had ready to go. This Pulse Bomb was incredible. And also, the finish there from Fleta gave him the charge he needed for the Pulse Bomb. Stick that onto Hawk as he lands from Meteor Strike, can't do anything about it. And instantly eviscerate that tank. Remember, there's not really a defensive countermeasure here like a Nano to help Hawk survive if he goes too far.
Coalescence first. Pressure mounts for the Atlanta Rain. It's countered by the Lijiang barrier as Lib just hopes to have the space to use this overclock. And now he has the resources to do so, but doesn't want to strike yet. But as he just is a little bit overly patient on wanting to use ultimates, I mean, Lib doesn't have any supports anymore, so Atlanta Rain will get the objective back.
For Atlanta Rain, though, that was a huge amount of their staying power expended in the fight. Both of the support ultimates expended almost simultaneously. The Coalescence doing damage through multiple people and the healing on top of a sound barrier. Lijiang expended his, but as Izayaki gets closer and closer towards this, now you've got to deal with the overclock first.
Yep, the fight being kicked off by Lip. Overclock. Oh, and it hits Hawk in the finish from Fate. That is the type of cohesion we needed from the Dragons. Presence on the point now. Range is barely holding on to the server. Fate already used by Ultraviolet. But the flank from Venom and OG is just so strong. They've already assassinated Izayaki. And even though Shanghai Dragons started the fight off on their terms and on the right foot, it's just the flanks from Rain are so strong.
There was a interesting interaction going on in that fight. Shanghai Dragons, though, looking towards the current battle. It's going to be all about this nano boost onto Fate, potentially onto Fleta as well if we can get deep enough. OG so low. Do you give over the nano for the extra burst? Never mind. The burst coming from Kai. Goodbye, Fleta.
OG was just the bait, and you bit. Shanghai Dragons got to do this without Fleta for now, and Venom already gets Hawk low with the Pulse Bomb, but he's reinvigorated by the Nano. But what can he do with it? Forces the jump out of Kai. He wants to focus him down, but he's so deep at the back, and the Rain supports have his back. Shots exchange. Atlanta Rain in overtime territory. Dragons can't leave this objective. They might have saw the fade out of Ultraviolet. Fleta heads on the flank. He has the Pulse Bomb. He misses it all to Kai. And Dragons now don't have a tank, but they can depend on Lit maybe one last time. It's round 3. Will the Rain strike first in this map 1? Meteor Strike at the back. Hawk starts the flank. He goes after Fate, but he's saved by the barrier of Lijiang, but they don't have Izayaki. Dragons have to win this now, but do they have the damage? The Coalescence from Ultraviolet will heal everyone back up, and now he starts to pressure down Lip, and the Dragons just don't have anything left in the tank at this point. There's so much heals with this Moira, and Atlanta Rain will take the round 3.
On their own map pick, some of the champions of APAC Lemon begin to crumble. Shanghai Dragons find themselves flummoxed by Atlanta Rain. Yes, the Moira composition did not pass muster over on the night marker, but in the tighter confines of the control center, where Moira's Bardic Grasp could get those tighter fights and the best of heals available, Shanghai Dragons found themselves with no answers to the Rain aggression. The Phoenix has begun to flame.
And the Dragons, though, they made them sweat for it, round 3. But as the desk said, the map choice for Hybrid is going to be critical. And we're going to see after this break where the Shanghai Dragons want to soar to.
There's been one player that's very consistent. Ultraviolet has been lights out.
Oh my god, UV is a god! Did you see the bionic grenade? It hit everybody in the dog!
Really relying on Ultraviolet to just kind of do the heavy lifting of the support.
What happened there? Does it got pooped, he got slept, he's got no power bar. Goodbye, Venom clears 2. Easy peasy.
Ultraviolet and then Yachty is absolutely nasty.
Where they just take the pick.
Russia goes down.
Okay.
Jobs across the map. Now one less support for the Outlaws and one less tank. Not good. Not good look. Ultraviolet kills 3 in that fight. Okay. All right, Ultraviolet, I see you.
Welcome back, everyone. Going into map 2. and it will be the Dragons' choice having to play from behind. I mean, the Dragons haven't experienced this since the beating that the Shock gave them, but even after that beating, the Dragons didn't choose to go to this map coming up. They went to Eichenwald there, but maybe trying to exploit some weaknesses or at least some tape that has already been revealed this tournament by the Atlanta Reign.
And also a little bit of an ultraviolet sizzle there, picking up the Moira 2 maps out of 3 on Lijiang Tower. More of an NA approach than an APAC approach, and there's a good chance for Shanghai Dragons haven't had as much expertise scrimming against those particular Moira, Lucio, Rush comps, and they're doing their own support swap-ups here, bringing in Bebe, like you said, Lemon. This usually indicates a double flex support approach. Bebe, very good on the BAP, and in fact, Bebe was part of what we might call the failed Shanghai Dragons mid-season beginning experiment, where they played a lot of Bebe and Void, and they went 0-6. They didn't do great at the start of our mid-season Madness qualifiers. However, they did start to fare a little bit better later on once they really zeroed in on using the Fate Ball. Kings Row, going to be an interesting choice for them. If Atlanta Reign are going to be defending first, it's a lot to try and get rid of Hawk's Sigma. He is a jolt, a jack of all tanks, but his Sigma certainly is something else and is real hard to dislodge.
And like I was saying, Dragons haven't been to this map, this tournament yet. The only time they ever lost control was to Shock, and they chose to go to Eichenwald, so this is a different look. Meanwhile, Atlanta Reign have been to this map twice this tournament, both against Seoul Dynasty and the Houston Outlaws. Losing this against the Seoul Dynasty and winning against the Houston Outlaws. But what I liked about the Reign, which I felt like was one of their weaker maps when it came to the regular season, was because they were a little bit one-dimensional around the Doomfist. And it's rather when this map is so narrow, it can be quite easy to counter Doomfist, who doesn't want to play from front to back, but rather on these off angles. But ever since Atlanta Reign started incorporating Hawk and more of the other options, whether Winston or Sigma, Atlanta Reign have seen more success, even just more recently against the Houston Outlaws. So they'll be on the attack. We'll see what's up for bat first. The Hawk Winston.
Touch of Winston versus Winston here whenever Fate is a world-class Winston, a world-class dive tank, in fact. However, over on Lijiang Tower, I think the coordination between Fleta and Fate in those last 2 rounds was severely lacking. Fate's actually been isolated here, has to jump away from that disruptor field, and now has to expend the barrier as well. So Lemon, Fate's going to be lacking in resources for a while. This gives room for Atlanta Reign to start moving around this Mondata statue without taking too much damage from a Winston.
So Atlanta Reign just dive to the top right. Fate's going to body block that, but really, Hawk's been antied though, so he gets already below half health. You got to be careful of that with the focusing beam from Fleta for a quick finish, and Hawk is still getting poked down, and the heals are just not making contact from Ultraviolet. The supports were on the low ground, so without that, they don't even get a tick. But you'll have to keep in mind on how the Reign are going to try and either jump onto Lip or Izayaki or Bebe, who usually want to play in these windows, areas that are very hard to dive. But despite not having a tank, Reign have no problem just walking up to the point and taking almost 2 ticks. Now Hawk has been slept. Fleta doesn't want to interact with that yet. Lip got slept, and he backs on out too. Reign didn't really have too much of a hard time getting the point, despite getting killed a lot.
I have to once again question Fate and Fleta both working as solo artists there, where it feels like Fate is almost in a I need to carry mode, and Fleta's playing a lot more reserved towards the back. Oh, Ultraviolet already dead. That is a huge pick from Lip. Might be once again, but Lip has to put on his carry pants for a little while until the rest of Shanghai Dragons are up to speed, or at least calming effectively. Venom's down as well.
More stagger kills, more ult charge for the Dragons. Depends what kind of initiative they want to take. If they want to engage with this nano from Bebe onto Fate, with the Izayaki getting shot, you just have to be careful with these peaks, especially how they charge off the tanks. They're the nano's actually given to Fleta, and not too close to the dupe, so he has to be careful how deep he wants to go. Kai has been nanoed from the other side, so that's been nullified. Now the Reign can move on forward. They don't have the Transcendence, but they want to chase down these members, these DPS from the Dragons that don't have their mobility cooldowns. But the executions didn't come quick enough for the Reign, and they break out of the choke.
Fleta and Fate finally moved together there on a dive. Alas, they were warded off by a nano-boosted Kai, and he's dangerous enough for about 50% extra damage. Venom with a Pulsum in hand. Do they just want to remove Fate is the question. A deep dive with a Primal in the back pocket. Bebe is going to be public enemy number 1.
Bebe's in trouble. Great dive from Hawk. Lip is slept too, so this is just not going to be much of... Oh, Lip, as soon as Lip wakes up, the overclock, or at least the charge shot hits Kai. So it felt like this should have been a bit easier from the Rain. Now they're going to primal on through. It's a 2v2, both primals activated. Discord placed on the Venom. He heads out. The card is halfway to B. Fate is just going to try and exist as long as he can, but he doesn't want to be staggered. Now you can hold your ultimates for the end of point B. That's the fight that matters for the Dragons.
Oh, Fate's actually overextended a touch here. Might be in trouble if he gets afflicted with a Discord orb, but OG's actually swaps over onto Colosseo, so not a huge issue now. Kai with the overclock, plenty of energy in the railgun, but needs to find the headshots. Shanghai Dragons are cowering away in fear for the moment.
Yeah, Fleta loves the copy of Tracer. It's in his wheelhouse for a reason. The pulse bomb at the ready. Not wanting to throw down to Ultraviolet. Only has a few more seconds. Doesn't connect, but now gets to fly away. That's all that matters. Ultraviolet dead. This is not a good push for the Rain, especially missing Kai too. And they wanted more out of that engage. It was so aggressive with Kai's overclock, but didn't really convert much after Izayaki fragged one.
All right, OG swaps back over onto the Zenyatta. The pathing out of this primary door, I think, is a little bit dangerous. Lip has multiple times attempted for the headshots on supports as they leave. OG luckily there, only suffering a body shot, and so now Fate once again has to recalculate how these dives are going to work, because the Winston's going to be in additional trouble when faced with the Discord orb of OG.
And how about the Nano onto Fate too? He jumps from the corner, goes right up to Hawk, and he's body blocking him from the door, but still, Hawk had more backup than Fate did, even when he had the Nano, but it's still a good dive from the Dragons when you kill both supports that the attack had. You force out the Transcendence, so the Rain don't have to be too sad about this. They have 3 members up. Kai is looking for a flank on the left side. That's a good pulse by Venom hitting Izayaki, and now Atlanta Rain can be more confident. They still only have 3 up. The Dragons will disengage temporarily before recontest, but it's not looking good for the Rain now after that shot from Lip.
Oh, Kai with oh my god in chat. Yep, me too, buddy, me too. They know it, Venom in the back. However, that is a lifesaver from Lit for Shanghai Dragons. A new lease on life after losing out on Izayaki. Hawk could have got so aggressive without having to worry about that Discord orb. And so removing that initiative means that once again Shanghai Dragons can set up on these corners and control the engagement. Fleta is going to be pocketed over here, alongside Lip, of course, who is going to manage to escape unscathed. However, Hawk has bought a lot of space for his team to work with. Lip's actually going to move in.
The jump in the overclock. I don't know if Hawk wants that smoke, but he still backhands Lip and cancels the ultimate. The Dragons have to head out. Bebe's getting flanked by Venom and was able to win that 1v1 somehow. Not sure Bebe's okay for now, and so are the Dragons, and especially Fate, who has the Primal Rage. Fleta gonna poke around the corner, see if he can assassinate Kai, but sees that Hawk's there too, so doesn't want to be too eager.
A fairly economically neutral fight right there. Lip expending the overclock and getting the 1-for-1 trade. Hawk now with the Primal though, could move incredibly deep onto Izayaki, try and get rid of that Zen and use his large form if he gets caught in a corner to body block any heals coming in from Bebe. That could be a huge asset for a Winston to use. Alas, Fleta, not been great on the duplicates thus far this year, but maybe somewhat more dangerous.
I don't know if you want to be on the flank on Ana, but at least you'll have a second chance at life. Grabs the Mega and heads on now. But especially after seeing Venom on the flank on Ali's side, I like the idea, just not the copy. And it doesn't matter when the rest of the team are doing all the killing for you. You get to do your best impression of a third support. And with a few seconds remaining, the Rain ain't got nothing left in the tank. They have the ults. They just gotta be alive to use them. And Venom's the only person there to keep touching. But Hawk comes back on the Doomfist, keeps the overtime wick burning. But with the Transcendence, there's just no kills that are gonna be had. With all the leftover ultimates that the Rain had, it's Dragons always first blooding them. And that'll be the end of the road for the attack of the Rain before point B.
RIP from the LIP. It was Atlanta Rain's best chance, but was shut down, put in the ground, and consigned to oblivion by a wonderful random headshot from Lip, getting rid of Kai, eliciting an OMG in the chat. And without Kai, Atlanta Rain missed out on so much of their damage that they just could not complete the fight, where, with Izayaki having been stagger-picked by Venom, Atlanta Rain were in their best position ever to try and complete second. Alas now, I think their best chances holding first here, and Hawk's Sigma holds on this first point are pretty prodigious in the Overwatch League, and Shanghai Dragons are going to need to keep their coordination absolutely perfect if they want to outdo Hawk, who's actually playing the Winston here. Maybe betraying the tape a little, thinking that potentially Shanghai Dragons are prepped for this.
I think this was the shot that made Kai talk in the chat. Yup, it was just mid-jump like that. I think my big issue with just the Rain on that last attack was just they didn't have enough pressure on that left side alleyway, so they were just one-dimensional when it came to the only road they were going to come from. And Dragons either fragged them from Izayaki or from Lip at a distance, and whenever Rain had ults, it was just matched right back by the Dragons. And every time the Rain thought they had a chance, Ultraviolet and OG would die. There's been a few fights, just failure after failure. Point B, not enough in the tank. So we'll see if the Dragons can match that pace. Getting some initial Sonic arrows to see who's in hotel, maybe some ideas on what comps, and we go back to the tried and true.
Okay, one thing to bear in mind here is that for Shanghai Dragons, their vertical mobility outside of Winston is going to be heavily limited, which means that in order to actually get up onto Ultraviolet and OG, there's a significant setup time that Fleta needs, or Lip is going to have to take a risk and just slide his way into the enemy camp without any means of protecting themselves afterwards.
Now Fate jumps to the very back to see if he can land on some supports, and the anti-kills Kai, and Hawk is already overwhelmed. He's below 50% HP, and at least he's with Ultraviolet, but Shanghai Dragons have them pinned down. They can start to work on that first tick. You gotta be wary of those orbs from OG, who's really done a great job of owning that role more and more as an old Lucio player from Contenders, but Dragon's second tick, recontest at the ready from the Rain. Close to pulse bomb there from Venom. He starts to hit on that flank. He already checks Fleta. There has to be a touch though, and Venom has to take the fight there. OG has got the warp on him to help him out if needed. And you can see how Dragons were quick to disengage, to kind of rely on Lip to get some picks, but it's really the Rain who have fought back even harder. 2 kills for them already, and no third tick for the Dragons.
I hope Kai takes a high ground position this time. I think playing on the low actually was a big liability for the Atlanta Rain. Made have been easy picking even for Bebe to finish off with an anti-nade. Venom at the moment playing Doorman. And Fate, he'll easily be able to get a little bit of additional damage to ultimates. He gets nanoed straight onto OG.
Yeah, needing to invest ultimates here for Dragons. Nano v Nano, both sides. Hawk is slept though, so that got canceled. And Dragons just have to work on the last tick, 9% more away. But you don't have Bebe, you don't have Izayaki. But Dragons have closer respawns, so now they have to invest Primal. They're just not feeling confident on their chances of fully securing it. And Atlanta come back for a touch, and Phantom hits Faye with the pulse bomb. And Hawk's there too. They deny the last couple percent. Lip now thinks he can take Hawk on, but forgot that he still had Primal. No. He gets off the point. He needed to just live on the point.
Oh, this is so sad. This is so sad, Lemon. Oh, Hawk just not with the proper control of the Primal right there. Overshot the jump just a touch, thinking Venom might be able to come in and get that touch after claiming the health pack from inside earlier, the Mega Health Pack. Shanghai Dragons finally get their capture here and have a healthy 4-minute time bank to try and complete B, and plenty of ultimates to do so with. Fleta, we're creeping through in the subway, getting off at Warwick Avenue maybe.
Bit of a slower push from the Dragons. I think they probably should have just checked the top window of the high ground next to the point, because it felt like some random picks came from there, and had to invest more ultimates. Gotta work on those back and right pulls from Fleta. Ultraviolet's gone, and that's when the cards fall. OG though uses Transcendence. Thought another push was coming from the Dragons. They can wait this out until UV gets back. Dragons have their own Transcendence, and they lost Lip. So much damage from Hawk came out, and Izayaki thought he was okay. Still have 2 support ultimates for the Dragons though, and Lip will get back soon. It's one last fight for the Dragons attack, and there's already great space being made from Fate. Kai has overclock, and he's made miracles happen before. The Kai factor that turned around series for the Atlanta Rain, especially against Seoul, and he locks onto Bebe, but it's only a body shot. Bebe heals back up to full. Fate is above Kai, waiting for the nano, but it's actually Lip that gets the nano, and Ultraviolet doesn't have his yet. Lip is going after OG, has already killed 2, and now 3, and that's enough! The Shanghai Dragons will tie the series.
You may have overclock, baby, but I just hit 5 gigahertz. What a play from Lip. Shot after shot hitting its mark, and Shanghai Dragons have made sure there are no more sweeps in store. 1-1 on their own map choice, and, well, seems like the research is starting to pay off for the Shanghai Dragons. Alas, now Atlanta Reign, for the first time in this series, who able to dictate a location.
Hawk did a fantastic job on the Winston, though, and you could tell he's just improving every day. Now, Hawk isn't going to be able to touch the Winstons of Fate and others in the league, but he's doing his job. He's pressuring down Izayaki and Bebe, and they're getting picks. But at the end, the Dragons, they're relentless on their assault. We have a one-wood series, but coming up next, it's Atlanta Reign's choice of map.
boy, oh boy, Lemon, I can't wait for our community to say their famous catchphrase, it's arting time. As for Midseason Madness Global Tournament rages on, submit your art celebrating the team or region you'd love to see win it all. On the Overwatch League fan art gallery, I've personally been watching A2 Zyger, also known as Angie, putting out daily comic strips, so they've been fantastic, Lemon. I'm thoroughly impressed.
No, I also remember the comic strip forgot the name. Shout out to that artist though, who drew the Merit Collat. I should have had that ready, my bad. But
that's been a big moment for artists.
I know. Shout out to that artist. But speaking of creativity, we saw a different look from the Atlanta Reign on Kings Row, utilizing more of Hawk's Winston when previously going to the Sigma. But now we have some even more changes coming in now that Venom is out, Nero in. And this is Atlanta Reign's choice of map. And I think a good old favorite for both of our teams will be going to Circuit Royale.
Ah, yes, this has been, since its introduction to Overwatch League, the battleground for some of the greatest Widows in the world. And well, for my money, when it comes to North America, Kai is the best there is. Killer AI, some might call him, and he's going to be joined here by Nero subbing in for Venom. One of the things that I really want you to pay attention to in the audience is how Nero plays the off angle behind the statue when defending first point of Circuit Royale. If Shanghai Dragons have been studying the tape, they need to know that that off angle needs to be exploited, because Nero is essentially in a one and done there. If he gets rushed upon by something like a Genji from Fleta, he could easily be overwhelmed, destroyed, and find an easy 4 versus 5 for Shanghai Dragons. But if they don't address Nero, he'll be able to demolish Void.
And Nero comes in to play the Sojourn. I know, over Kai, how could he? But Kai will be busy on the Widowmaker hitting those heads. And Nero also likes to play the Hanzo on defense. The Sonic arrows can't be understated enough how that information is used. And so that will be on the menu. When it comes to the Dragons, though, hey, they like this map too. They, oh my god, here goes
this
my
again.
Okay, I'll talk about Atlanta Reign first. Atlanta Reign are undefeated on this map. They beat both the London Spitfire, and my brain is falling out, and the Seoul Dynasty. As the Shanghai Dragons, they beat the Fuel, and also the only time I want to see Arissa is play the piano. And the Dragons lost to the Shock yesterday to that. So I'm excited to see the Lip versus Kai, as I'm slowly losing my sanity.
Ah yes, finally. Scientifically perfect music, perfected by the Shanghai Dragons coaches in their off time. Lip, of course, going to be out here on the Widowmaker. You'll know what to expect. Usual spot for a Widowmaker, not currently going to be occupied. And one of the things that we got to talk about here for Kai versus Lip is the additional wall hacks he'll be gifted over by Nero's Sonic Arrow here, which is going to give him a distinct advantage in some of these Widow duels.
For now, a lot of space being given up by Atlanta Reign. Able to use that Sonic Arrow on the shop too, just to see who's coming around the corner. Mainly Void, who's also been substituting in as his Sigma duty rise up. And now you can kind of keep in mind of over on that right statue side how Fleta's going to want to jump around the corner. I think these Sojourns can get also a lot of charge off these Sigma shields. Lip goes for the jump, doesn't connect. Now it's Kai's turn. Oh! I think that was, what is a support around there? Yeah, that was maybe around the statue. He's got to be careful. But he wants to try and build up towards that Ant Matrix so quickly. Now Nero has gone inside of shop, and he wants to try and lock heads on the backline of Dragons, but this is an eager position. The shots exchanged by the snipers. No one home yet. The Immortality's out of the picture too. This is a lot of space for the Dragons, who have to really try and shove Hawk back. You got the accretion. Hawk gets healed back up to full. Nero is missing. A lot of damage now, and no tank for the defense. And it's just as easy as that for the Dragons from point A.
Okay, so Nero here actually took a really different approach to the defense than he usually does, Lemon. Didn't actually play on the off angle, and instead went essentially in the same direction as Kai, and that meant that Atlanta Reign had a quite mono-directional zone of influence, and that was really good for Shanghai Dragons. It meant Void could block off both Kai and Nero essentially with the same shield, and it meant that Lip and Fleta could try and find their own off angles to overwhelm Hawk. Yes, Kai will take out Lip here, and that's going to stop a hugely aggressive claiming of space from Shanghai Dragons, but Void's got a big advantage when it comes to generating that grab flux.
Void has that advantage, but Kai has the high ground. And he lots of body shot. But Fleta's like one, and Bebe's dead. So Dragon's got to hope they don't stagger out anymore as the Rain look down below that cliff to see if anyone else is home. But yeah, this is going to be a big ult fight coming up.
Izayaki had a fantastic King's Row Lemon. I think 11 final blows, drawing equal with Lip. And Izayaki is once more going to be a huge part of a potential Shanghai Dragons win here. When it comes to long-range pressure, the Zenyatta puts out so much with a 20-orb clip and a large amount of damage that they just do generically.
Grab Flux, looking for some friends. Has embraced Void into death, baby! Drops below 50, goes into the doorway, and he's okay for now, especially Izayaki there. Not even needing to use the Transcendence there, it's big too. Dragons, Kevin, big engage. There's the counter Flux. OG's forced to use the Transcendence. He's caught up in it. Now the overclock from Fleta as the Hawk Shield is broken. Look how the Dragons are taking all the space, but Kai still shoots Fleta despite not having a shield there. And Dragons, they're being so aggressive, but really it's trades back and forth when you thought they had such a big advantage with the shield. You forgot about Kai, and I don't think you could ever do that. And oh my god, they're about to hug each other. Lip versus Kai. Who's gonna get it? 4 more meters to go, and Atlanta hold.
Just a couple love taps. Fleta may have been meta before, but Kai, oh my. And Fleta now swaps over after using the overclock onto the Genji. This is going to allow him to close these distances a lot better. And with Izayaki in tandem playing the Brig, this is a dangerous time for Hawk. He can be brawled upon a lot, a dangerous time for Void rather, because Hawk can just be brawled upon. With all of Shanghai Dragons moving forward, they're going to focus on winning the tank fight here instead of winning the sniper duel. And Lip there gets an unfortunate grapple.
I want to see where this Dragon goes. It's not really used for kills, but rather to separate the teams. It goes all the way behind the Dragons. Now the Atlanta Rain can push further. Immortality's already been used by Bebe, so a small advantage for the Rain, including the information from the Infrasight. But Rain don't really just want to hold their ground. They're not going to be too aggressive off of that. Now the next ultimate up to bat is the Hawk Grab Flux. And there's no support ults from the Dragons, but maybe just building up towards a Bebe Ant Matrix. There's the Grab Flux. Trigger pulled. It's always targeting Void if he can, and Bebe's gonna try and heal him back to full. And Void almost dropped there, and it's been a stalemate despite ults being traded.
Lip moving up a little bit further as well. Fleta's under so much duress here, and Void getting stunned out means he's going to have to be playing catch up upon Kai with the double. Unbelievable. The buck stops here and it stops with me, he says. And yes, Void may have a Gravitic Flux in his back pocket, but he does not want to be using it now. We're going to talk about the dynamics of answering the Gravitic Flux for Shanghai Dragons as well now that they no longer have the Zenyatta. Here's a quick look at the Kai replay while we talk it through. It means that Bebe has to save that Immortality field for the Gravitic Flux, and it meant that there wasn't really anything else to answer the incoming aggression from Kai. Meanwhile, Ultraviolet and OG, they are loaded for bear when it comes to answering the Flux themselves.
Oh, Kai's expecting to jump snipe. That's one of kind of the interesting ways the attacking Widow can get ahead, just get a surprise, is doing the grapple off of the highway side or even off of the side of this building. Or else you got to go through highway and then you got to peek around the corner. The jump snipe there. Hawk wasn't ready for it. There's Void. Grab Flux. It gets Ultraviolet. Mortality not forced out. I like that patience, especially no OG Transcendence. They can keep this up. They have Matrix 2 from Ultraviolet placed to stop the upcoming follow-up from the Grab Flux, and now that that's gone, the Dragons advance. The rally behind them. Fleta with the blade. The Immortality done with. He still trades out 1-to-1 with Ultraviolet, and now that OG is gone, there's no healing for this defense. And that'll be it. Point B dusted for the Dragons.
And it's unfortunate for the Dragons that they actually had to use a rally in order to finally fulfill their win condition of brawling over onto Hawk. And they just overwhelm this Sigma who can't defend himself from the damage of a Brigitte because the Kinetic Grasp can't eat the mace shots and it can't eat the Swift Strikes from the Genji either. Lip gets a brand new ear piercing, free of charge of course from Mr. Nero, and Atlanta Rain are going to once again retake control of Pool. This is going to be a hotly contested area that Shanghai Dragons are going to have to invest plenty of time into trying to take back.
Dragon almost gobbling up Void there. And Fleta on the Genji, as he usually does on point C. after he's done with the Sojourn. This is a great kind of close-range combat. That also means there's just quicker follow-up. And it's between Tracer and Genji on which hero our DPS prefer to have some kind of cart presence. Because, yes, you fight over pool, but you also want to get that cart pushing, or else it's just going to go backwards forever. And it doesn't matter what position you have, the cart keeps going back. So looks like they have both Lip and Flutta, and maybe even Izayaki push up on the left side, forces Kai to reposition further away. See the high ground battle, maybe favoring Hawk and friends now that he has the grab flux, but not even wanting to peek. And Hawk has to try and block these lines of sight, but now that the card is approaching the end, Atlanta Reign's focus is on maybe having to drop and prevent the full capture. But Nero starts off this fight well with a pick onto Fletta. Now you still have the grab flux and many tools available from the defense, but they want a proper group up, and I wonder if the Dragons know the flux is coming, and that's why they're playing so split.
And with this infrasight available from Kai, this is bad news for Shanghai Dragons. They aren't going to have any time left in regulation where they cannot be seen. Both of these Widows pop the infrasights, but it's Kai who can control the cart.
Grab flux from Hawk, and it's enough to kill Izayaki. Void's gonna have an answer, but also Rain have to be on the cart. They're gonna use the Amp Matrix, and it's Nero and Ultraviolet using it to clear out the presence of the Dragons from the objective, and OG is fracking from the top. And Dragons just got completely surrounded and got nothing out of all the ults they had available. But it's still a valiant push almost till the end of the map. But Rain, I mean, the win condition is set. They gotta get to that point. And if not, I mean, this decides the series lead.
After map 1, Lemon, we had our UV sizzle reel, and once again we've got to highlight a play from the flex support, popping down that amplification matrix in overtime when Shanghai Dragons have to be on the cart is the winning move, because at that point it's Zugzwang. You can't make a move without it hurting you. If you move to the cart to keep up overtime, you're taking damage from the amp matrix. If you leave the cart, well, you're C9 and you lose anyway. And on top of all of this, Ultraviolet says, okay, the amp matrix is up, I've got Nero with a drawn back arrow. Hawk, it's time to kill Void. To do that, they hit the accretion on Void to cancel a kinetic grasp and make sure that Void has no means of defending himself when the double damage arrow and Baptiste shots come his way. You instantly evaporate. The enemy tank and Shanghai Dragons at that point just have to feed onto the cart, hope and pray, but their gods ain't listening.
I was expecting more godly-like plays between the Kai versus Lip, and it's been exciting, but sort of a slow push from the Dragons. It took them forever to get point B, and I think that was because Kai was playing so deep, and Lip could never get a handle on that situation. And then even Void's grab fluxes just canceled, not canceled, but just nullified when they get Hawk low, never able to get truly the finish. Even when Dragons shove Rain against the wall, it's never a clear fight win. So we'll see. And especially against a Hanzo, you really can't afford to just sit there because the Hanzo's going to have better shield break than your composition, but Rain out the gates, hoping to get any kind of first pick, especially with Dragons playing this far forward around the Lamborghini. And it's the Hawk shield that breaks first. Jump shots exchange, no connection. It's all about regenerating those shields, getting around the corner. If you can build an amp matrix, that's a good win con, but at least Dragons forcing back Rain more than the previous round.
Neither team have opted into the Brigitte here, so playing on these longer ranges is much better for them, where they can more safely poke without taking damage from the hyperspheres. Hawk giving the Discord Orb, but the shots simply aren't connecting thus far, and so survivability is paramount, keeping this alive. Shanghai Dragons have given up yet another corner. It's do or die in the next fight, Lemon.
Yeah, and these Stormbows from Nero are just all going into Void's shield, and this shield battle is going to favor the Rain unless the Dragons hit a headshot. It can't just be body shots unless there's like insane follow-up, but with the double range comp of Atlanta Rain, it's about coalescing on the same target, or Hawk maybe following up on a low target, but even that's tough. He doesn't want to get too close. Here's a Void grab flux already. 40% ahead of Hawk. Again, the Dragons get them low, and finally they can finish off these kills. Flutta and Lip getting involved, and the Dragons will be able to hold here.
Oh, it was so important that Fletta go in and win that 1 versus 1 against Nero, likely waiting for the Storm Arrows to come out so that you can get an advantage when rolling in and trying to catch the Hanzo unawares. If Nero was able to exist in that little cubby uncontested for any longer, it would have spelt doom for Void, because the crossfire of the Hanzo would simply overwhelm the meager health pool of the Sigma. Now, once again, Atlanta Reign have to fight for each of these corners again and again, and at every single corner, you are threatened by Lip.
Even when you know those jump shots are coming, it's still not easy to hit. It's a tiny hitbox, it's very far away, and any pick like that is buying you precious seconds. And the fact that Dragons are not even playing at the end of point A, but rather around this corner is also just good extra ult charge that the Dragons can work for. Now they have Amp Matrix way before Ultraviolet, they have Transcendence before OG, but it's Hawk that strikes first. Grabflux will get Void low. Immortality's out from Bebe, and here's the Amp Matrix to stop the follow from the Atlanta Reign. Transcendence to keep Hawk up. Dragon Strike to keep the Dragons locked in. Grabflux from the defense to respawn, and there is the finish once again. Hawk is removed, and the Reign have to head for the hills.
That was perfectly done by Shanghai Dragons. They use the amplification magics to force out the Transcendence, and they know that Ultraviolet's dead. So there's no Immo field afterwards to answer the Gravitic Flux. Void manages to actually overwhelm Hawk in this instance. Nero's already been stunned, and moving forward takes so much out of the Atlanta Reign. They've used a huge amount of their resources for sustain, so Izayaki has a massive advantage on the Transcendence as we move into the final minute. Atlanta Reign are up against the wall.
Atlanta Range is focusing on the shield break. No funny off angles. It's just about moving Void away enough to get the point A. And that's a great pick or two from the Atlanta Reign. Izayaki and Void gone. There's no shields to defend Bebe or the rest. And finally, a cap from the Atlanta Reign. But you're not exactly excited when it took all of that time to get that done. And that's not even the hardest part of the map.
The timing there, perfect. Taking out Izayaki, he was public enemy #1, disallowing the use of that Transcendence from a fully charged arrow doing 250 damage. Yeah, he's got 225 HP. He might be a slightly more thick monk than he was before, but the double damage Hanzo arrow still gets the job done to instantly remove that Zenyatta. Now, Shanghai Dragons are going to have to slowly brawl their way out of this area and try and stop the cart before it gets into one-fight territory. But thus far, Shanghai Dragons have not been great about... okay, well, Lip's been great. Lip has been great. I'll give you that.
Hey, Fleta too. He says me too, like they say my name. But
me
Dragons,
too.
I mean, their whole win con is about picks. Atlanta Reign, yes, it's about picks, but they have the shield break option as well as a grab flux now from Hawk, despite not having any support. So this is not going to yield much result, and no picks off of that. So that ult is out of the picture for the next fight.
Overclock on the field here for Fleta. It's been a while since we've said it. It'll overwhelm a Transcendence. OG almost has one of those. And remember that when Nero and Kai are either drawing back their arrows or they are scoping in, they're moving slower. They become much easier headshots for Fleta, and so they could be exploited.
Oh, this flank from Nero. You gotta be careful. I really like that flank spot, but you can be punished so bad, and the defense will be able to see it, where the offensive flank can see them. See, Lip is already ready on the pillar side. Kai is down. Reign are just not netting any positive, any first bloods to really kick off these fights. They'll have the Dragon Strike. If Dragons want to play a bit, if they overextend a little bit, Nero can have a good punish on that, but Dragons are playing passive for a reason.
Bebe, where do you choose to put down this amplification matrix first? You must flee the dragon. Hawk up into the air, give him the Discord orb, but below him, Zeno waits to make sure that health bar is filled, Lemon.
At least the immortality was drawn out from the Dragon Strike, and that's where the follow-up was there. Bebe is gone. The Dragons are going to try and do something with this fight with the overclock, but it's just not connecting. Hawk is on the flank, and Dragons are getting pummeled from all angles. And I don't think there is a recontest, not with Hawk at the front door. But again, it costs Reign so many seconds to get these objectives done. The same amount of time as point A. Void is around the corner hoping to touch, but he's getting bopped back. Amp Matrix, but the Dragons don't touch. It was up to Void. They committed the Amp Matrix. It's a mistake.
Shanghai Dragons changed everything. They went Genji, they went Tracer, they wanted one last cataclysmic fight at the end of point B, while Kai was still returning to the fray. The Amp Matrix used as Bebe. Surely Bebe doesn't swap now. There's the option, of course, to go to a Brigitte, but it's not really what Bebe plays. Usually they have Izayaki move over onto that instead, and so it's back to the tried and true for Shanghai Dragons. They forced overtime out of all of these fights previously, so why can't they do it again? Fleta on the Genji. trying to get on top of the elder Shimada brother, but across these longer sight lines, the poke of the Genji is going to be much, much weaker.
For site advantage for Kai over Lip and friends. Just all stacking 3 and not really much pool prioritization from Atlanta. And especially off this Amp Matrix, if they can draw dragons towards them and a flank from Kai on the left side, they weren't expecting this. He dips Lip, and now you got the flux from Hawk. He stops the flank from Fleta. A 5-on-3 starts. You got a Nero Dragon Strike that'll flush out the rats from the right side, and the dragons are getting slapped around, and the Rain head for the box of victory, and there's no one there. It's Atlanta Rain going to series point.
Long-term planning and overwhelming the duels from those solo players like Lip and Fleta. Atlanta Rain play together, they have each other's backs, and well, friendship is magic lemon. Atlanta Rain take Circuit Royale off the back of some amazing individual performances. And while Fleta may have started to wake up in this battle with the Sojourn, still it seems like Atlanta Rain are controlling how these engagements work with their tempo.
So smart from Kai with the inverse sight, knew where Lip was, decides to take the left side flank and just completely opens up the Dragons who were expecting a pool on, or fight on pool. So that was a great job from the Atlanta Rain to keep up with the little time they had remaining. They go to series point, but after this break, will be the Shanghai Dragons that will decide what's next.
2 shots, dead in the ground. We ain't the same, pull up. 3 rounds, bro, you done. We let it rain, head pop. So look out when we in the zone. Don't play around. I got a strap, put to your back. Tell you now, we laying it down. Yeah, bands up, trapped out. I bring the Dars, gang out. Look. Don't wanna fade and drop out, got no clout. Think smart, this crucial. We ain't no average usual. Nah, we let it rain, ain't seen a savage who you.
Welcome back to the ultimate arena between the Dragons and the Reign, an elimination match, a battle for top 4. With Atlanta Reign 1 map away from knocking out one of APAC's last hopes, I gotta say. But it was pretty close, and it was just, you know, catching Dragons lacking on Circuit Royale.
Yeah, it's catching them lacking here and there. A couple of nice, tasty shots from Kai. Of course, Nero backing out for now, back to his Hanzo dojo to allow Venom to return in. It's actually going to be the first time we see Shanghai Dragons play push in the Midseason Madness. All of their matchups thus far have been 3-0 for better or for worse. And for Atlanta Reign, this is a pretty powerful feeling, especially for Hawk, who was, of course, alongside Kai, one of the mainstays on the roster last year. This is a rematch of our 2021 Grand Finals, where Atlanta Reign were not as powerful against Shanghai Dragons. This time, though, oh, how the turns have tabled.
Yeah, but at least you can work with one advantage. And one of the last ones you got left, I mean, Dragons will be choosing our next map. And then out of the 2 push maps, they want to go to Colosseo. Now, from what we haven't really seen the Shanghai Dragons play this tournament so far, but we have enough tape on what the Atlanta Reign have done. It was a close loss to the Seoul Dynasty, but they also got rolled on a previous map. I think this was against the London Spitfire in the first round, 132 meters to 44. Atlanta did not look good at the very start, but that's when they started running Hawk and Nero on like some kind of May rush, and then have since grown to more towards the Doomfist side of things. And Hawk just looks more confident and more experienced on that hero, but you know, Atlanta Reign, I just like that they're changing up the strat, so you never know what you're going to get with them.
Well, we know at least that Fate is going to be part of this one. Lijiang gone as well, so we can expect either a Lucio or a Brigitte. We've seen some interesting strats from Lucio's. And of course, yesterday, an infamous Lucio performance from Mr. Funny Astro himself, the Frag Frog on Colosseo. And on Colosseo, when you are playing these push maps, the speed the Lucio brings can be super important to try and get your positioning for these first fights, especially on Colosseo, where the first fight isn't always guaranteed to be inside the long lane, but can actually happen out in the middle area with the Mega Health Pack as well. It depends on what geography is most preferential for the main tank you play.
I mean, yeah, the Dragons just haven't been to push because they either win or die by the 3-0. So it's the first time.
Uncharted territory now, Lemon.
Yeah, and I say first, obviously they play push during the regular season, but everyone is looking different when it comes to the Midseason Madness. I mean, we have teams like Seoul Dynasty who are out in the first round, even London Spitfire who are kind of like that dark horse out in the first round. Everyone's bringing all kinds of strats, even like some Sombra and stuff like that we don't get to usually see. But this map bodes well when it comes to wanting to choose New Queen Street or Colosseo. I say Colosseo is a lot more open and friendlier to Hammond, while as maybe if you have a more Doomfist-oriented team, you might prefer the New Queen Street. Or if you like your heavy flankers, Sombra Tracers, stuff like that, you'd prefer New Queen Street. But a lot of our teams prefer Colosseo for that openness. So I'm expecting some Hammond from Fate, but it's Hawk that's been this question mark because he's playing so many different things these days.
Alright, so let's talk about the Genji that's currently being hovered in both of the spawns here by both Venom and Fletter, and this might be a big advantage for Dragons. Venom's got a serviceable Genji, but Fletter's is definitely one of his better heroes, and the reason why the Genji is so prevalent here on Colosseo is because the lane itself in which the bot has to walk in the middle, it has these windows on the side of it which segregate it from the rest of the map, and those windows have a gap at the top, meaning they could easily be wall climbed over. I've been pranked entirely. Fletter and Venom have both swapped over to a Tracer. That'll show me to analyze.
Analysis, but we've been talking about how good Venom has looked this tournament. And diffing Flutta is where you're gonna really prove that to us. Kai versus Lip has still been an even Sojourn battle, with Kai having some more creative plays to catch Lip off guard, as we saw on Circuit Royale, but got the Doomfist versus Fades, and Fade's already been antied, and the Doomfist can kind of displace the Hammonds quite well with the easy punch, and just getting a Hammond off its rocker for a second, just like Hawk is on his back, is how you want to catch these tanks off guard, but it's Hawk first to fall, and all the dominoes after that down, and the Dragons will get an initial push.
So let's analyze the dynamic of this Tracer duel as well. In particular, this is going to be a much better matchup for Fleta, who can have the long-term healing of the Harmony Orb attached to him, or Lijiang's Repair Pack, and Venom will be suffering from a Discord Orb as well. And you don't get as much direct support from a Lucio and a backline that Atlanta Reign are currently running. So Venom is trying to do this on his own in what is essentially a 2 versus 1 Tracer duel.
See how this goes. The Tracer duel. See Lip needing some help on that right side. That's when you need a Tracer. But he's been too busy marking Venom. And as soon as Lip shows his face, he just gets collapsed on. So you got to be so careful when you're on this pillar side of things. You want to stay nice and safe and really have some scouting be done for you, whether by Fate or by Flutta. And just Lip and friends didn't see that coming. And it's Atlanta Reign with a good pushback on the Dragons despite losing Ultraviolet and OG. So at the end, we're still left with Atlanta Reign having closer respawns and more bodies on the bot, so the Dragons will reset.
We've discussed how Shanghai Dragon's support line's a little bit better for the Tracer duel, but what the Ana and Velucio really excel in is allowing Hawk to get on top of Izzyaki and Lijiang. There's so much more support here for Hawk. He can brawl for a lot longer, whereas Fate doesn't have as much direct healing and has to exit the game quite quickly after taking some damage. Not a huge amount of push here for Atlanta Reign, but now Hawk gets Nano to change that.
Hey, Hawk has Nano, but Izzyaki is in his face with Transcendence, so what can Hawk really do? He already has to head back. He's 120 HP, so some momentum lost by the Reign, especially not knowing where Fleta is. Venom is missing, can't keep that other Tracer in check. So Atlanta Reign don't want to waste more time. They'll just try and contest the bot as much as they can until Venom is back, and he is. And that is the call being made, the sound barrier, and the overclock by Kai. 2 down from the Dragons. Lijiang next. Kai is on the high ground too. Great angle as long as he doesn't drop into those Fate lines that have been left over. Great sleep. That'll be the end of Fate. And we'll see maybe Atlanta Reign with a chance to get ahead.
Might actually finally get some push here. Remember, the Shanghai Dragons are very fast comp, so they can habitually contest this particular barricade. Don't think it'll be happening before a lead is gained for Atlanta Reign, but that was a very expensive fight. They used both their ults in tandem with the Nano and the Meteor Strike, combined then with a Sound Barrier and the Overclock. So only Venom's really desynced when it comes to using these, and Lip can control the next battle using his own Overclock.
Oh, that's a good disruptor right at the door of where the rallying team of Dragons want to get through, and they just burn right through it. Overclocked by Lip. He's looking at this backside. OG bouncing away, and Ultraviolet is in the wrong position at the wrong time, and Kai's gonna feel that in the morning. So still a lead though, gained by the Reign, 32 meters. But the Dragons got to work on some more ults if they really want to try and take back the fight on Staircase, which is really difficult for this team to do.
With that rally expended as well, Venom now has a choice as to who he wants to try and stick with. Izzyaki and Lijiang are both fruitful targets, and with Brig Eater in particular, very easy for Venom to stick. If you can make sure that Izzyaki is the only healing, Shanghai Dragons will be playing from behind by a huge margin.
As soon as you see Kai use the jump to get to the high ground, you see the Dragons are on that like butter on toast. That's just the most vulnerable position a Sojourn is going to be in. And Dragons have great awareness. Now, it just sucks that they've lost Lijiang, and I believe, or maybe even Izzyaki, and just having, you need really all 5 members to get through just the bend. But they still have Dragons have a small lead, even if it's only by 0.26 meters. But they're not going to be able to keep this one going.
Hawk's doing a great job here of controlling Fate on the ball. Essentially, Fate needs to get that first kill on the engagement, which they did find on Kai in the previous fight. But after that, Shanghai Dragons really run out of steam if they can't really disrupt Atlanta Reign and force out a huge amount of resources. Hawk has the Meteor Strike good to go, and that means Fleta now can freely stick him.
Oh, the Transcendence isn't going to help Lip, and Fate got slept, but he's woken back up. He's got mines on the bot too, so Atlanta Reign have to go all the way around to get stuff done. And as they're just splitting up, it's not working out. At least Atlanta Reign have that first pick on the Izzyaki. You have Fate in the backline tossing everyone up, even just distracting UV and OG from healing can have a big impact, but so much attention went into Fate that he's dead, so the Reign can take back a lead. Now they start to work on that bridge control where Hawk is already on the right side, but she forgot about Lip and the shots at a distance. And weakening Reign bit by bit is huge, especially denying the chance of a sound barrier, but Hawk went so deep!
Yeah, Hawk went incredibly deep there. There was no way for Ultraviolet to support that, and Atlanta Reign, everyone's playing solo at the moment. The second that OG fell down, everyone from Atlanta Reign decided to do their own thing. Like, oh yeah, let's split up and look for clues, boys. And so Atlanta Reign, they may have died apart, but they will respawn together and have to try and stop this barricade before it reaches the sizable lead that they have gained for themselves. Still 4 minutes on the clock. It's anybody's map, Lemon, but Atlanta Reign have a significant ult advantage. The question is, do they use these ults in tandem again with Ultraviolet, Nanoing Hawk, and then the sound barrier overclock?
Fleta's like, I had this, bro. Now he still ended up getting the kill on the UV, but you don't have the sound barrier. So not sure how this push is gonna go. That was such a barrier, a cool barrier advantage for the Reign, but a great collapse from the Dragons on the UV, and denying those Ana heals is so crucial. The Reign don't have a lot of resources with just the Lucio. Now the Dragons only have 3 members remaining to get this push going. We'll see if they can even tie it up.
They didn't just deny the heals, Lemon. They denied the nano boost. It was lost in transit. Ultraviolet tried to use it as some kind of dying rattle of a cry, and yet it was lost in the air. Shanghai Dragons simply killed him too fast, and now Fate can actually come in from behind and use these mines to make sure that Atlanta Reign's disengage is no bueno.
Fate placed the mines at the pillar when maybe I would have liked to use that on the bridge, especially where that's where Kai is going to want to be, but Lip just jumps up there and doesn't even find Kai. Atlanta Reign are playing very on the coast side of things. Dragons want to get in there. At least they're getting some card push, but they're 2 meters away. There's a contest from the Atlanta Reign to stop the lead from going the other way. 2.5 minutes. Venom present. Hawk Meteor strikes to assist, and Atlanta Reign are being divided and conquered as UV falls again. Just not a ton of heals. And Lip dips Kai in that moment. Pulse being thrown, it misses OG. And this is just barely being held on by the Dragons, who only have Fate and Fleta remaining. So the lead will remain in the hands of the Reign.
Venom, for now, needs to try and back off from this 1 versus 2. Will allow Fleta to survive simply because controlling the bot at this point is a little bit more valuable. Fleta caught, but can blink out into the safe, loving arms of Lijiang and Izzyaki. But I gotta give so much credit to OG there. Took a protracted fight against Fleta, even got out the pulse bomb, and managed to stall the barricade before lead could be gained.
It's just a difference of 2 meters and a minute 43 seconds remaining. Fleta with a great double kill starts things off well. Transcendence to keep Izzyaki up. You can criticize that, but as long as all 5 are alive, and before I say that, Izzuaki's dead, it's fine. We'll see if they can just get the last 2 meters before the checkpoint. Pile drive to slow Hawk down from the contest. There is a contest from the top of the bridge, and there goes the lead for the Dragons. The Reign have to fight all the way back. We could be going into Game 5 if this remains the case for the next minute. And as soon as Dragons get that lead, they go back and try to reclaim Izzyaki.
Yeah, they back off. Izzyaki was going to take way too long to get into that position. And now Fate trying to grab Kais. He wants to try and chase off those who would look to catch the stag. Izzyaki's dead again. That's the worst possible person to die, Lemon.
I can't believe Hawk's even still alive. I don't think he's gonna live much longer, but he grabbed Mega, he had Nano, but all of this just to survive. Now the Dragons are gonna close off the road with the mines. Ultraviolet having issues escaping. He needed the sound barrier, and Hawk is still there power blocking, but that's all he's really done. And the Reign have at least claimed a kill onto Fleta. 5 versus 4, but they gotta remove Fate from this picture. There's not gonna be much progress to be made, and that's exactly why you just utilize his ham, and there's so much health and survivability. But how long will you live now that Kai has the overclock? He's not too eager to get on this high ground, though. He wants to be in a safe position, especially with the Dragons that are extending to contest the bot. And the Dragons have the lead at 54 meters. Fleta dips for now. You have a 3-on-4 favoring the Atlanta Reign. The Meteor Strike comes down. Izzyaki in trouble. You need the Transcendence if you're the Dragons to maintain this lead. Atlanta or meters away. The support's still alive. Hawk keeping Fate in check behind. And OG keeps the overtime with burning. You got a Boostio that was probably intended for Hawk, but Atlanta Reign are gonna fight tooth and nail for these last 4 meters to send one of APAC's best out of the tournament. And it's right there, Lijiang, he's gonna try and contest. He's got the boop, he's the last chance for the Dragons, and there's really no one else there. Here comes Izayaki, but everyone else is coming out of spawn, and Atlanta Reign have done it! The 3-1 series win, and the Shanghai Dragons are going home.
It's a rematch of the grand finals from last year, Lemon, and the sacred timeline has been profaned. The Dragons fall from the sky, and it's not a blaze of glory, but a last whimper as the Reign, the Phoenix themselves, rise from the ashes in a 3-1. They have slain one of the gods of APAC, and they will move further in our bracket towards a retribution.
Izayaki lost hair after that one, I could tell. We come back.
Pulling it out.
I can't believe it. Atlanta Reign, who could have predicted this? They are the team that can perform so well under pressure. It started with a Game 5 upset in the first round of the lower bracket, slaying the Seoul Dynasty, the #1 team in APAC, to going after the Dragons in a 3-1 way more decisive victory, although Colosseo was anyone's game, as we said. 2 APAC teams gone by the hands of Atlanta Reign. And now they move on to the next round to do it to someone else, potentially, because on the other side, they're waiting for the Hangzhou Spark and the Philadelphia Fusion result to be going in after this, of course. And Atlanta Reign have made top 4.
Yes, they have. So let's check in with our player of the match, the APAC executioner himself. It is, of course, the hit scan legend, Killer AI. It's Mr. Kai. And yes, the Sojourn, just as much as ever, has been bloody deadly. And you know what? Just put a little bit of je ne sais quoi, the Widow, on top for Circuit Royale.
Can't deny that Atlanta Reign are this successful because they have one of the best Sojourn players, and you can't even talk about how much he did even on Widow, especially his creative plays to catch Lip off guard, to have that last push, because the Atlanta Reign went into Circuit Royale C with very little time, coming up to the last 20 seconds that they had for A and B. They needed to try and just find a shortcut, and they did, and that was off of a genius play from Kai using the Infrasight, sniping Lip, and all the cards from the Dragons fell from there. And the stats, I mean, speak for themselves. A little higher deaths, and I think that's because just Lip has been one of his biggest challenges when it came to this series. It's a 3-1 for the Reign, but it costed Reign like some sweat and some tears after that one.
That's the thing that Kai also brings to the table. Like, with this kind of reputation comes your very prevalent inclusion in the plans of your opponents, and Shanghai did do their best to try and get on top of Kai and make sure that he didn't have enough space to work with, and that in tandem allowed for Hawk, for Venom, for Ultraviolet to try and find these openings and collect a few cheeky frags here and there that turned fight after fight, and those fights add up over the course of a series, Lemon. And this was a statement, once again, from the Atlanta Reign. They came in as one of the lower seeds from North America, had to battle through our first round of games, and actually lost against the Houston Outlaws in their first outing. We were like, okay, maybe it's a dud here from the Atlanta Reign. Maybe the magic juju simply is not flowing enough with them, but it seems like a Pokemon. They are just super effective against APAC, and they'll have to find out who they are super effective against later on today, because they're going to have to play again against the winner of our next matchup, Lemon. It's going to be the Hangzhou Spark versus the Philadelphia Fusion. But before that, we've got Ovally and the Desk, who are going to be with you after this break.
Tracer, Hawk,
I'm on point, stay point.
Hawk, come back. I can't.
Tracer one.
Kill point. Lucio left.
Left?
Lucio.
I pipped him.
Lucio nated.
Lucio.
Zen.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Game Break, everybody. I'm here with Hawk from Atlanta. Rain Hawk, congratulations on the win. You again showed your jote-ness.
Status, yeah.
Is that how you use that word? I don't know.
Just certified jote or something.
Certified
I don't know.
jote. All right. I mean, yeah. Let's talk about this match. Do you think you could run us through what happened at the very last team fight on Colosseo?
Honestly, I looked at the clock at like 15 seconds, like, oh my god, it's last fight. So we were all just kind of playing our. No one was really panicking. At least I wasn't. And then we started pushing car. I don't even remember what happened fully. It was just a blur in my head right now. But I remember going on lip, and I missed a couple shots, and I eventually got him, and I almost killed Lucio with the power punch, but I wasn't able to. And then we just cleaned up on point because Lucio was the only one allowed to touch.
Yeah. And you guys clutched out the win. So for today's match against the Shanghai Dragons, did you guys have any like particular game plan going into today's match?
No, I mean, we just try to play to our strengths and win our map picks, and hopefully, you know, just win one of theirs as well, because you have to. And kind of just played our game, you know, like we a couple shots didn't work, a couple shots did, and just finally happy to beat them.
Okay. And of course, with today's win, you guys are going to be going up against either Hangzhou Spark or the Philadelphia Fusion, right?
Yeah.
And you are really good at this because yesterday when we talked, you guessed the Shanghai Dragons are going to be your next opponent, and it came true. So who do you think you're going to... Actually, not tomorrow. Sorry, tonight.
Yeah.
Who do you think you guys are going to be playing against?
Probably... I'm going to go Spark. I'm going to go Spark on this one. Unless MN3 just starts aimballing the lobby. And... but Shy can match him, so it's hard to tell, but I'm going to go Spark because they looked pretty good yesterday.
Yeah, well, that match is coming up right after this. Hawk, thank you so much for your time. And with that being said, Ovally, take it away.
Thanks, Danny. Back-to-back Hawk interviews, back-to-back series wins for the Reign. Congratulations to them and the team. As he said, the last, minute he said in the overtime was like a blur to him. He had no idea what was going on.
I can speak to that. I've had the same thing where, like, you have so much adrenaline going through your body sometimes. Like, obviously in the moment, it's like, have you ever driven a car and then you black out and you don't realize what's been happening, but you got to the destination? That's kind of what happened for this Overwatch League. It can happen. You know, so much going through, and yeah, they got the win. So.
Yeah, can relate to that. You know, some of my pro games on stage just like play of instinct, and then we were like, oh, what happened at Lijiang Tower? And I'm like, I don't know, I think AKM went Cassidy or something, and we won. So, you know,
I can understand that, but Scott, I'm going to speak to someone to revoke your license because that just doesn't sound very safe. But
I haven't crashed yet, but here we go.
You know who did kind of crash today? The Shanghai Dragons. Johnny, what happened? Because you were rooting for them. You predicted them. And meanwhile, we were sitting over here.
Hey, I predicted Atlanta today.
You predicted Atlanta today?
For the match, yes. Look, I was on the APAC train yesterday. I abandoned like half of my hope for the region.
No, you can't half abandon a train.
No, well, Spark are unique, okay? Shy is a very specific individual that I like to keep in mind. But the Shanghai Dragons, I thought that they would come out this tournament and just be this like gold tier, wrecking ball, tracer, sojourn team. Isayaka and Lijiang put on their strengths. And in the end, no, I'm not gonna go there. You know, they were forced to adapt. They were forced to adapt, like I said. Like in the pre-show, I said if I was the Shanghai Dragons, I just didn't have enough like comfortability playing the wrecking ball and just like leaning on that. I think throughout the tournament they recognized that Fleda was not able to keep up with the tracer play of the likes of Venom and so many other good tracers. Cest for the Fusion, of course, Prophet, Kevster. Like Fleda is just not that good of a tracer anymore. He can't really compete with those guys, and so it makes it really difficult to pull off these, you know, mechanically skilled dive compositions when you're losing that tracer battle. And so I think the Shanghai Dragons, they lean into the Doomfist. You know, they even play some rush on Lijiang Tower. We saw Circuit Real come out, which, you know, was Atlanta Reign's pick. And they looked pretty, you know,